Have you ever walked into a room where everyone spent years pretending you didn't matter? And suddenly realized you were the only reason everything wasn't about to collapse? The conference room smelled like stale coffee and stress. No one was talking. 9 people. Sitting still. Watching me, Robert Castillo was at the head of the table. Fingers pressed together, jaw tight, like he was trying to hold something from falling apart. There was a printed email in front of him. Subject line in bold, final notice. 72 hours and in less than an hour. Everything he had built over 40 years was going to start. Falling apart piece by piece, the files, the contracts, the numbers no one was supposed to see everything. The clock on the wall read 2:17 p.m. And for the first time in 8 years, Robert looked at me like I wasn't invisible. We need your help. Before I continue, I know that moment carries a different kind of weight when you've spent years being ignored and suddenly you're the only one people can turn to. If this story resonates with you, please like and subscribe. It genuinely gives me the motivation to keep sharing stories like this one. Also, let me know from where are you watching right now. I would love to know. Now let me take you back 8 years to where this all began. 8 years earlier, my life didn't look anything like that. Room. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Chicago. The kind where the radiator made noise all night and the kitchen light flickered if you turned it on too fast. I had a cheap desk, a secondhand chair, and a laptop that overheated if I ran too many programs at once. No degree, no connections, no safety net, just a quiet belief that if I kept going long enough, something would eventually work. I taught myself everything. Late nights, endless tutorials, fixing problems no one paid me for just so I could learn how. Sometimes I'd sit there at 2 a.m., staring at code, wondering if any of it was going to matter. But I kept going, because I didn't have anything else. The first time I got paid, it was $3,200. A small company needed help securing their system. I worked 3 nights straight, didn't sleep. When the payment hit my account, I didn't celebrate, I just stared at it, because for the first time, it felt real. That was around the time I met Daniel. He walked into a coffee shop where I was working, looked at my screen. "You work in cybersecurity?" I said, "Trying to." He smiled. "You don't look like you're trying." That sentence stayed with me, because most people didn't see anything. Daniel did, and for a while, that was enough. The first time I met his family was Thanksgiving. November 2015, their house was perfect. Everything placed exactly where it should be. Even the table. 12 chairs. Not 11. Not 13. 12. Robert stood at the head, straight posture. Controlled presence. Daniel introduced me. "This is Ava." Robert shook my hand, looked at me briefly, then said, "So you work with Daniel?" And before I could answer, he had already turned away. That was the first moment, but not the last, because it happened again and again. Every dinner. Same question. "What is it you do again?" At first, I explained. Then I simplified. Then I stopped, because it didn't matter what I said to him. I reset every time. The worst part wasn't loud. It was quiet, constant. Small things that never stopped. At our wedding. 127 guests. Robert gave a speech. 4 minutes about Daniel, 9 seconds about me. And Ava, well, Daniel chose her. People laughed. I smiled. Because that's what you do in moments like that. You don't react. You absorb it. 3 years later, Christmas. That's when something in me changed. I had just closed my biggest deal, 890,000 months of work. I mentioned it at dinner. Robert nodded. "Once, that's wonderful." Then turned to Daniel. "Tell everyone about the Westfield project. 340,000, everyone." Leaned in. No one noticed the difference, except me. That night, I didn't argue, didn't cry. I made a decision. I stopped trying to be seen. At family gatherings, I became quiet, but outside of that, I built harder than ever. expanded my firm, took bigger risks, because I realized something important. If they wanted me to be invisible, I could use that. That's when Catalina became part of my life. Daniel's grandmother lived alone in Pilsen. Her house felt like history. Every Sunday, I went there, at first to fix things, then just to sit. We drank coffee. She told me stories, real stories, about how the business actually started, not the version Robert told. One afternoon, she said, "Robert forgot something." I didn't respond. He thinks confidence is the same as character. She looked at me carefully. "You don't." I just refilled her. Coffee. That was enough. 3 months before, everything changed. She called me, not Daniel, me. "There's something you need to know." Her voice was calm, but different. "Robert's company is in trouble." I sat down slowly. "What kind?" "The kind people hide. Ransomware, everything." "Locked. Contracts. Clients. Systems. All. Gone. They paid $340,000, got partial access back, but the attackers stayed quietly inside, waiting. And then came the second. Demand 520,072 hours, or everything gets exposed. The call came on a Tuesday. Morning, Daniel's brother, Dad, needs help. His voice was tight. "There's a situation. We've been told you handle this." I paused, set my coffee down, didn't say "I told you so," didn't say anything sarcastic. I just said, "Tell me everything." He did, and when he finished, I said one thing, "I'm coming." Walking into that office felt different, clear-focused like everything I had built led to that moment. Robert was waiting, not ignoring me, waiting. "We need your help." I sat down, opened my laptop. "Show me everything." First hour. Chaos. Second hour. Patterns. 6 hours later. I found it. Hidden inside an update. Cleaned, quiet, dangerous. "They're still inside," I said. The room went silent. I need to pause here for a moment because I know some of you watching this have been in situations like mine, where people underestimated you for so long they forgot to ask who you really were. If this is hitting close to home, let me know in the comments. Would you have helped them? Or walked away? Your answers mean more to me than you know. Now let me tell you what happened next. Hour 12. Control hour 24. Containment hour 36. They were gone. No payment, no leak, no collapse, just silence. On the third day, Daniel said quietly, "I didn't know this is what you did." I closed my laptop. "You never asked." Robert didn't speak. Then finally, "What do I owe you?" I gave him my rate, no discount, no hesitation. Wrote the check himself. That was the moment everything shifted. Not because he paid me, but because I stopped needing him to. Understand. 6 months later. Sunday morning. Coffee Catalina. Sitting across from me. Then a knock. Robert. Holding a bottle of wine at 9 a.m., he sat down, slowly. "I don't know what you do," he said. "Not really." I looked at him. "It's called penetration testing and incident response." He nodded. "You've been doing this for 8 years." "Yes." "And I called it the computer thing." "Yes." He paused. "That was stupid of me." I nodded. "Yes, it was." And for the first time, that was enough. If you're the kind of person who's been told to stay quiet, to be patient, to wait until someone notices your value, this story is for you because sometimes being overlooked isn't a weakness, it's space. And what you build in that space is what changes everything. If you want to hear more stories like this, real stories, uncomfortable ones, the kind people don't usually talk about, make sure you subscribe and stay with me. I'll see you in the next one.